Hi everyone, Susie here with your CBE lesson for today, Tuesday. So today we're going to talk about telephone etiquette. Many of us no longer have a home phone. We have access to a cell phone, but there are still homes where maybe you have a home phone that is shared by everyone. So today we're going to talk about how to answer the phone when someone is calling, how to make a phone call, and we're going to go over some safety tips for phone conversations. Sometimes if we have a home phone or even on your iPhone, we get phone calls from numbers that we don't recognize. And sometimes we pick up before we realize that that phone call is coming from a number that we don't recognize. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of those do's and don'ts, what to say, what not to say, and how to have our best friendly phone conversations with those that we recognize and those that we know. So the first thing that I want to go over is these guys, cell phones. If you press the home screen, you'll notice that there is a phone icon right there. It's kind of hard to see on these things, but that is your phone icon, and your phone icon should give you a keypad that has different numbers. You see? So the first thing you should do is have the number that you want to call. A lot of times for a first time call, maybe you got someone to write their phone number on a piece of paper, or maybe you have them saved on your contacts list on your phone. So the very first thing that we are going to do is you're going to dial that number. And you're going to dial that number by going through your contacts list or by looking at your piece of paper. If you're reading the number from a piece of paper, please make sure to be accurate. Make sure that your finger doesn't slip and you don't call another number by mistake. So be very careful that first time that you're making a phone call. The very first thing you need to keep in mind when making a phone call is speak clearly so that you can be heard. Sometimes when my son calls me, for instance, because he's little and his face doesn't maybe reach the receptor, the microphone on the phone properly, I can't understand what he's saying. And that can get very frustrating. It can be frustrating to be trying to speak with someone on the phone and you can't understand what they're saying, right? We've all been there. We've all been on the other end of the call when you can't make out what it is they're trying to tell you. So try to speak at an appropriate volume. That means you're not shouting. Sometimes we're on the phone maybe with people that are hard of hearing, older family members, and they tend to shout into the phone. So try to maintain a speaking volume that is helpful to the person on the other side. I know when I call my mom is a little bit hard of hearing, so I know that I have to speak up so that she can hear me. But there's other people who may be sensitive to noise, so you don't want to speak so loudly that it's hurting their ear on the other line. So you're not going to mumble, and you're not going to speak so low that it's hard for them to hear what it is that you're trying to say, right? When you make that phone call, if somebody who is not the owner of the phone answers, I mean, nowadays chances are everybody knows who it is that's calling because we've pretty much all got call waiting. But it is polite to politely state your name and what the intention or what the point of the phone call is. So if I'm calling, say, my friend Roy, I might say, "Hi, Roy, it's Susie. I'm calling so that we can work on your goal." Correct? If you are calling just to chat, then you might want to say something like, "Hi, Melissa, it's Susie. I just decided to give you a call and see how you were doing." Now, this is polite. You've spoken at an appropriate volume, and you've let them know what is the point of your phone call. And you've identified yourself so they know who they're speaking with. Maybe they just grabbed the phone and they didn't look at the call waiting. Sometimes I do that. If I'm doing other things, I'll just pick it up and I don't know who's calling. So if you just start talking, they're not going to know who they're speaking with. And they might not be comfortable speaking with you. So you're going to speak at an appropriate volume so that you can be heard. You're going to state your name and you're going to let them know the reason for the phone call. When you've been speaking with your friend for a while, you might want to hang up. It's not polite to just hang up the phone, right? Because you're just leaving the other person on the other side of the line hanging, like, "Hey, what happened? 1 minute I was talking to my friend and the next minute, nothing." So you want to make sure to let them know ahead of time that you're going to be hanging up soon. What I like to do is I like to say something like, "Yes, well, I'm so happy that we got to catch up today. It's been really nice speaking with you. I have to go, but I'll make sure that we get in touch again soon. I would love to hear from you. Bye." And then once you've said goodbye, you're going to wait politely for the other person to acknowledge. And acknowledge means that they're letting you know that they heard you. And they're going to probably reply with something like, "Yeah, it was great talking to you too. I've missed you. How about if I give you a call next week?" And then you can respond. And then they'll say goodbye. Sometimes when we're on the phone, we can get into that goodbye volley, right? Where it's like, "All right, see you later, bye. Okay. All right, oh, I forgot to tell you, blah, 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 bye." Okay, just keep it simple. Simplicity is best when you're dealing with etiquette. And this is what we're talking about today. We're talking about phone etiquette, which is the appropriate behavior when you're in a social setting. Don't forget when you're done talking to your friend to say thank you. It's nice to thank our friends for giving them our time. And it's nice to thank our friends for sharing a little bit of a conversation with us. And of course, do not forget to hang up your phone. Now that's an old style phone. It's been a while since I saw a phone like that. On our phones, it will be probably a red button or a little red X on the bottom of your dial. Don't forget to hang up that phone, because from time to time, maybe you miss the stop button or the hang up button and you leave the call open, and then other people can hear what you're saying, even if it has nothing to do with the conversation. Okay, so now we've discussed the do's of phone calls. Let's talk a little bit about the don'ts of phone calls. And there are a few things that would make it awkward, or things that maybe are not appropriate. So we talked about speaking clearly. Please don't mumble. If you mumble, they can't hear you, and it could be frustrating. The first thing is, don't answer personal questions or buy things from people who are calling you. There is something called telemarketing, and it's when people call you to try to sell you things, okay? And they might be counting on you answering your phone. And maybe they're going to try to trick you into buying things. That happens. It happens more than it should. And it shouldn't happen, but it does. So you need to make sure that you are being safe and that you are not giving information over the phone that could make somebody take your money, for instance. A lot of us have our own bank accounts, or we have access to a credit card or personal information. So if someone calls you and they're asking for your address or your social security number or banking information, please do not give it to them straight away. You might want to go get someone else in your household, either a staff member or a family member, to take over the phone call and find out why someone is asking you for that information. It is possible that it could be your bank calling and they're trying to verify your account with your birthday. But I would suggest that a good thing to do would be to hand that phone call over to someone else in your household who might be better able to tell whether that information is something that you need to give or not. But please, by all means, do not just give it to them. It could be someone with bad intentions trying to get your money or information about you. So just like when we're out in the community, we don't just tell random people personal things about ourselves. It's the same over the phone. You definitely should not do that. A good way, if you don't have someone around you who can help, is to say, no, thank you, I am not interested. Or, please call later, and I can maybe have my mom or my staff member help you with those questions. Because again, they could be real questions. There could be a reason. Maybe someone is trying to confirm an appointment and they've called your number rather than another number. But it's best to be safe than sorry. Many people have been scammed out of money and things from their bank account by giving it, thinking they were doing something else. Okay, especially older people, that happens to. Making crank calls is illegal. In many places, making prank calls or crank calls is illegal. And I know that maybe right now we are all a little bit bored. And that might seem like a good idea to crank call your friends or prank call your friends, but it's not nice. It's not polite to prank call other people. And while some people think it's very funny, you wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of someone prank or crank calling you, would you? It's not very nice. So find something else to do that's interesting. Read a book or call your friends for real. Let them know you're thinking about them. If you thought enough about them to crank call them, just call them and have a real conversation with them. Crank calls are not funny, and in many places they are illegal and they can get you into trouble. Don't call very early or very late at night. Have you ever been half asleep and your phone rings and it wakes you up Right now, because of social distancing and quarantining, a lot of us have changed our schedules. So maybe we're keeping a different schedule than we normally did. Maybe you're staying up later than you normally do, and you're a little bit bored and you want to call your friend. It's not polite to call after certain times of the night. I've always told my kids that they shouldn't be making phone calls after like 9 o'clock at night, for instance. That's a time that most people are starting to relax. They've ended their busy day, they're tired, but you know what is too late for your own family and friends. Some friends think it's okay for you to call them at 10 o'clock at night. I try never to do that. Okay, I try 9 p.m. is usually the time that I'll say, okay, I'll leave that phone call for tomorrow. Remember, there's always tomorrow. There's also nothing worse than getting a phone call very early in the morning. Maybe you're like me and now you're waking up earlier than usual. Don't do it. The other day I was up so early, I was up like at 6 o'clock in the morning, that for me, by 8:30, I had already been awake for a long time. And I thought, oh, I really want to talk to my mom. I think I'll give her a call. And then I remembered that my mom has trouble sleeping at night. So sometimes she gets up a little bit later in the morning, and I thought to myself, I'll just wait. I'll wait and I'll call her at lunch. So again, you know best when your friends and family are up, but there's really nothing worse than being awakened very early by a phone call, right? So you might as well just wait and call later. See the guy's holding a coffee cup like he just woke up? Not a good idea. It's different if you have to make an early morning phone call because say you're going to call out of work because you're sick. In that case, that's understandable. But right now that we're all quarantining and we're all keeping different hours, you might want to reconsider that. When making video phone calls, a lot of us have the ability to use our FaceTime on our iPhones or to make a video call using WhatsApp. Lately, some of you that we instructors are checking in with to complete your goals are getting video calls from your instructors. And it is nice to always see a friendly face, isn't it? I always get very happy when I speak to my video callers like Raul or Melissa or Annabelle. But there are a few things that I would like to remind you of with regard to video phone calls. Please make sure that when you make a video phone call, you are adequately dressed, or when you are answering a video phone call. It might make someone uncomfortable to see you without a shirt, for instance, if you're a guy, or to see you in the process of getting dressed. Always wear a shirt and a bottom, like pants or shorts or a skirt. Remember, when you're making a video phone call, oftentimes it's not only the person making the call that can see you. There can be people walking back and forth behind them who can also see you. So it's best to put our most polite foot forward and make sure that we are adequately dressed. Another one, do not answer phone calls, especially video phone calls, if you are in the shower or the bathroom. You can just let that call go and call them again once you are finished either having a shower or going to the bathroom. It's not polite to be in your shower or in your bathroom on the phone. That is not good social etiquette. So let the call go and make sure that you get in touch with them again after you have finished whatever it is that you're doing. It could even be brushing your teeth. You can't speak when you're brushing your teeth or washing your face. Just wait and call at a more appropriate time. Another one is, please do not answer video calls from strangers. This is a new thing that people are doing. They are video calling anyone. It's the same as a prank call. But sometimes they'll try to get information from you using a video phone call. Like, what does your house look like? Or what do you look like? If it is a stranger calling or you don't recognize the number, just let the call go. They will either leave a message or call you on your phone and leave a voicemail. I hope that this video is helpful. Following this video, I'm going to be putting some examples of proper phone etiquette. So stay tuned. Now, supposing someone is calling my phone and they wish to speak to somebody else. A lot of times, for instance, somebody will call and they want to speak to my husband or my son. So, suppose I pick up the phone. Hello? You'd like to speak with Harris? Sure. If you could hang on for just a moment, I'll go get him for you. It's important to be clear in what it is that you're doing when you're speaking on the phone. Remember, they're not seeing your face unless you're on a video call, right? They're just hearing your voice. So the only way that they know what is happening is if you're using your voice and you're telling them. So if I didn't say, hang on just a moment, I can go get him for you, and I just stay silent, they're going to think that I either did not hear what they were asking for, or I'm ignoring their request. And ignoring someone's request is rude. You should always respond when someone is asking you a question, correct? We don't just stay quiet when someone is asking us a question. So when someone calls and asks for someone, it's important to tell them, oh yes, just a moment, he's here. Let me go get him for you. Or if the person that they're asking for is not there, then you can say, oh, I'm sorry, but he's not home right now. Can I have your name and I can have him call you back when he gets home? And it's a good idea if you take their name down to also take their phone number, because likely if they're asking for someone else, you won't know who it is and you won't recognize the number in your call list. In this part of the video, I'm going to demonstrate how to make a phone call. I've dialed the number and now it's ringing.
Hello?
Hi, may I please speak to Ross?
Speaking.
Thank you. And that's how you ask for someone. Once the person has said speaking or yes, this is me, then you can begin your conversation. And now I'm going to model how to answer a phone call. Hello?
Hello, can I speak with Susie, please?
This is she. So I hope you've enjoyed our lesson on telephone etiquette. The most important thing about telephone etiquette that I would say to you is to please remain polite. Remember again that it's on the phone, they can't read your face. So you should, to recap, identify yourself, ask for who you want to speak with, remain polite, speak in a tone of voice that the other person can hear well, don't mumble, say please, say thank you, and don't forget to say goodbye when the conversation is finished. Remember when the phone rings and you're going to pick it up to say hello. I've had the opportunity to call many of you to check on your goal recently, and I've seen some pretty good phone etiquette. I've also seen some pretty good video call etiquette. So I will say to you that your assignment for our lesson on phone etiquette is that you use some of the tips that I've included today in our lesson when your instructor calls to check on your goal. I hope that you have a very good rest of your day and that you enjoy the rest of your virtual lessons. Bye.